So once again, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Before we get started, there are a few housekeeping items I would like to mention. The slides and recording from today's webinar will be made available and sent to all participants. You may enable or disable the closed captioning on the Zoom toolbar by clicking on the button labeled CC, closed captions. If you experience any technical difficulties today, please notify me, Patrick Ahern, in the Q&A section. Questions can be submitted in the Q&A window at any time and will be addressed upon completion of the presentation. With that said, I will now hand things over to Sari Schumann to get us started. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Patrick. And hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Before we get started, we want to thank you for coming to the Dementia Respite Program's Translating the Respite for All faith-based model into community-based environments. Our webinar series is supported by the Administration for Community Living, and the Administration for Community Living thanks you all for being here today. Today's presenters are Daphne Johnston and Alison Smith. I'll introduce them and then turn the presentation over to them to begin. Daphne Johnston is the Executive Director and co-founder of the Respite for All Foundation, a nonprofit organization based in Montgomery, Alabama. Since its founding in 2018, Respite for All has promoted a sustainable, volunteer-based model of dementia respite care that supports both individuals living with dementia and their caregivers. By partnering with churches and local senior organizations to recruit and train volunteers, Daphne realized the model's potential for nationwide replication. As of the summer of 2025, Respite for All has inspired and trained 58 new volunteer-based respite ministries across 18 states. The Respite for All social model has been recognized by the U.S. Administration on Aging as an innovative approach to dementia care. We also have with us today Alison Smith, who is the Social Engagement Program Coordinator for the Aging Transitions team at the Orange County Department on Aging. She directs several impactful initiatives, including the Our Place Respite for All program, memory cafes, and dementia-friendly communities. Alison collaborates closely with a multidisciplinary team of geriatric professionals to deliver dementia education, training, support, and social engagement opportunities for older adults in Orange County, North Carolina. In 2025, Alison received the Governor's Medallion Award for Volunteer Service, and Our Place was honored with a National Achievement Award from the National Association of Counties in the Human Services category. At this time, I will turn things over to Daphne Johnston to start our presentation.
Sari, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. This is, I believe, my third time to get to present in the past 15 years, our Respite for All model. And I'm excited that this has got a new spin of how we can translate this into senior organizations. And Alison has been a rock star for us in Chapel Hill. And I'm excited to hear how she's going to share and translate what our model is. Just quickly, this is a picture of our last annual conference in Birmingham, Alabama last year. This is about 60 different directors and lead volunteers. In our model, we help you start these respite programs in your community, and we never leave you. We're going to give you monthly and annual training, and I just wanted you to see how big the annual training has become. Patrick, we can move on. Just quickly, our mission in this whole model is to inspire, grow, and mentor new volunteer respite communities. And I want to emphasize that because we are not married to a just solid rule book. We know that every organization, every church is different. Our goal in our model is to give you 15 years of best practices so you can take what we have learned and adjust to your model, and Alison will touch on that. We want a Respite for All community in every county, in every state, and we have 60 locations right now. Patrick, we can show them out. 60 locations right now in 18 states. Obviously, the Southeast is heavy because people can drive, and we're multiplying just in an easy form and fashion. But we just launched in Montana, working on California, Wisconsin, New York. Slowly but surely, we're making it across the country. Next slide. So at the launch, I really wanted to focus on you guys on logistics. At the launch of us sending off a Respite for All community, We now have a full-time resource director that's actually located in New York, and she goes through a checklist of all things that we can consider, like space and food and staff and clergy and senior organizations. We have got this resource director that really helps vision teams. So you don't have to have a solid legal board to come to us to figure out this model. You can have 4 or 5 people that are really interested in starting respite in your community and say, we want to sign up for an hour Zoom and we want to get the resources. We want to get the checklist, because we like to say now we've got it down to just a science of starting these things where you just add water and stir, right? We've got 15 years of great best practices to build off of. So it's not developing your model, you're just implementing an award-winning puzzle, right? You're the one that's got to find the pieces to go in the puzzle. So what sets us apart? Obviously, we're a social model of care. We continuously tell our new directors and vision teams, just preach. We're a social model. We're not medical. There's a low cost. We've got scores of training and support. Once you begin, you will never be left alone. We've got veteran directors that you can call upon, small programs, large programs. You've got the RFA team. Another signature piece of our model is our high volume of volunteer engagement. Every one of these pictures are from our local ministries and our local programs. No stock pictures here. You'll see the energy, you'll see the numbers, the attraction that people want to be together. And that makes a huge difference, because we all know one of the biggest problems we have in sustaining respite programs is getting caregivers to bring their loved one and getting them to stay. And oftentimes when you only have 2 volunteers and 2 participants, it's really hard to get somebody to stay for 4 hours, right? And so in our training, we talk about volunteering up and a lot of different techniques where we can get local people to really help toward the energy. We offer purpose. So much of our programming is not empty, childlike activities, right? Everybody does everything, and we've built in service projects, we've built in purpose to every 20-minute activity that we do. Is it getting Mrs. Wanda to communicate when she hasn't spoken in 3 months? Is it getting her hand-eye coordination together? Is it connecting George and Bill on the front row of volleyball to get some hand-eye moving with them? Everything we do has purpose for our participants. And we can do that because we have such a high volunteer ratio. One special thing about us is we really don't need government grants to get going. And through our vision calls, they help. Alison's going to tell you that she has written several local ones. But for the 60 programs that we have going right now, I would guess, 85 to 90% of them began with no government grant. We coach you. We have seed grants to give from Respite for All, $5,000 to $10,000. If you've got a good business plan, we're going to support you. We have the resources to help you connect in your community, how to get private donors, how to get a church to come on board, how to get the senior center to come on board. We help you find local funds so you are not crazy dependent upon large government. Sustainability. This is the number that I love to brag on for Respite for All. 92% in 13 years, a 92% sustainability rate. One closed because they named themselves the Marshall County Adult Day Program. Well, who in the world wants to throw your legs off the bed to get up to go to the Marshall County Adult Daycare Program? And the lady just didn't listen to me, right? Kill me. But anyway, our formula, it works. And we're here ready to share it for you. No one, again, is turned away. We do rely on a tuition-based model. We have anywhere from $20 a day to $40 a day, in our big cities to $50 a day. However, with us, we really coach you guys. If there's somebody that just can't afford it, my grandmother lived on $600 a month from Social Security. She could not afford $40 a day. We turn nobody away. And you know what? It works. Roughly a third of our participants come into these programs and they need financial help, but it works. It just does. Next slide. So the key concept that keeps these volunteers coming, that keeps these families coming, that I think nobody else has, is everybody wears the same name tags. In all of our pictures, you can't tell who's who. You know, our favorite phrase to say is we're all living with something. We're living with cancer, recovery, diabetes, wayward children, financial woes, spiritual woes. We've all got something. And so we don't want to single people out just because they're having memory changes, right? We're all in it together. Our name tags are the same. It's label free. And I just can't tell you how much dignity that gives to our families. So I think that is a key concept. And I hope you'll adopt that. Even if you're not in Respite for All, I hope you'll find a way to be label free. You all do most of this in your program, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but between the hours of 10 and 2 are the magic hours that we've landed on. It's small group conversations, art, music, exercise, service projects, the shared meal. What a gift, you know? Somebody with dementia sitting in a recliner drinking a Coca-Cola, watching Fox News or CNN all day. I'm telling you, a shared meal means the world to these guys, and you got to have volunteers to do that. But most importantly, it's the new relationships. We celebrate these new relationships every day, and that's what keeps people addicted. Next slide. Why are we 92% sustainable? Because we coach you guys to operate in local churches that have nothing in them in the middle of the week, that are in senior centers that already have volunteer pools that they can pick from. We coach you to be in space where you're not paying rent. You can have great programs, but when you've got to come up with $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for rent, who can do that, right? There's plenty of brick and mortar out there that's not being used. So how do we find that? How do we get by on one part-time director? It's hard, but we've got crazy activities. We've got the budget for you. We've got everything you need. You don't have to create it. Revenue from daily fees that offsets the cost of that part-time director. You're going to fit under the insurance of the local church that becomes the host. You're going to fit under Orange County Aging, the senior center that hopefully is going to be your host. When you don't have to come up with insurance money and a standalone 501c3 and all the things you have to do, it's a great piece to sustainability. And then we also teach you how to go get community partners. Just businesses and different organizations that want to help. So who do we serve in this model? People that can ambulate on their own. They can all have walkers. If they're in a wheelchair, we highly recommend that they come with a caregiver with them because we're a volunteer crew. We don't want to put that off on a volunteer to take someone to the restroom. They've got to be able to toilet themselves, eat on their own, and be comfortable in a group setting. Right? They've been isolated for 4 and 5 years, and so we've got to make sure that they can be in a large group. So cultivating relationships, this is our training, dementia communication. How do we get these volunteers to sit back and take their time and be patient with our friends? It's really only a 3-hour training. We're not crazy focused on amyloid plaques and new medicines and brain science. We're focused on how do you just slow down and be a friend? How do you blend in? How do we create that label-free environment? I'm telling you, that's what keeps people coming back. We also highly encourage our volunteers to become community champions. You can't get them to shut up. You don't even have to spend money on print ad. They are in the community talking about their program because they're so proud of it. It's made such a difference in their lives. So when you don't have to spend money on print ad, and you got people all over the city on fire, it really can multiply quickly. Next slide. I just want to play this 1 minute. Many of you might know Dr. Alan Powers, Dementia Without Drugs. He is one of my all-time favorites. We were at a conference. He loves our model, and I just want to play this 1 minute just so you can hear from his mouth why he thinks this model is going to spread. Patrick. Okay, so I'm with rock star Dr. Al Power in Canada, and I'm just going to ask, why do you think the faith-based volunteer model, Respite for All, is going to spread all over the world?
I think there's a few reasons why it's a really important model. First of all, being faith-based, it's a strong community. It's a community with history, with traditions. It's something that will bind people living with dementia in ways that makeshift groups that maybe aren't long-standing will do. So I think that's really important. Another thing is it connects the community through volunteerism. So once again, it's not just professionals. It is the community being connected. And the reason that's really important is because when you look at demographics, we're getting to the point where people with dementia can't simply be moved to care homes to be taken care of. There are not enough professional staff to just put people in long-term care, with or without dementia, as the baby boomers get older. We need to find solutions that keep people successfully in the community as long as possible. And this is one way to provide both meaningful engagement for the person living with dementia, to provide respite and support for the person who is their primary care partner. And I think it is one of the things that we have to do. We cannot professionalize dementia support anymore.
Wow, did y'all hear that? Okay. So this is just one more example of the large group energy. Every one of our programs, we are telling you guys, get 10 and 15 and 20 volunteers, and we're training you on how to make them make a difference, how you're not going to lose them, how we don't lose them to attrition, right? Moving on. I think Sari had listed just a few of the things that we've been listed in. Kiplinger's report highlighted us as a quality dementia care maybe 5 years ago, I guess, that got on the national radar, and AARP, and we won the Dementia Innovation Award from the Alzheimer's Foundation of America. We are rock solid and ready to go. This is just a picture of 200 flood kits that went to Houston this day after a flood. 5 people in this picture have got Alzheimer's. How are we creating activities where people want to be part of it? They got to get up and they got to be there. The volunteers are magical because they've got a flexible schedule. They're not committing to 48 Tuesdays a year, right? Alison's going to help them. Our directors will help. They're in a large pool of people. They can volunteer guilt-free, and they don't have to find their sub. This is just a brief example of some of the money that can come back when you charge $40 a day. And we train a director to say, you know what? This is $10 an hour with a hot meal. And again, if they can't afford it, it's okay. We're going to find community sponsors. But it just lets churches, lets organizations know they're not on the hook for the full thing, right? Revenue is going to come back in. So this is just a few of the ideas that we share on the vision team of how to find some local money. Next slide. We help you evaluate cost, space, insurance. We will walk you through state by state. If you're in Mississippi, if you're in Delaware, we will help you find what your state regs are. Typically, social model respite doesn't really even fall on the radar in a lot of places. And we also help you get a local marketing plan. Next slide. Again, monthly directors calls to troubleshoot, fundraise, activities, holiday planning, annual training at the end of the year, and one-on-one coaching. Next slide. Ooh, I finished with 2 minutes to spare, Al. I hope that you will go to the respiteforall.org website. And I also hope we've got a new Respite for All documentary that we've just released. Jack York helped us make it. It's 40 minutes. It's on YouTube. It's called A Place of Belonging. And I hope that you will go to our website. It's on the front page, but it's been viewed almost 4,000 times, and we're headed to PBS. We can't wait. So, Alison, with that, take it away.
Thank you, Daphne, and thank you, Sari, and everybody. What I thought I would do is describe the Department on Aging so you have a sense of where our place is happening, and then discuss how we decided on the Respite for All model, and then explain how we adapted the model and why it's so important that more people do it. So, with that being said, Orange Department County on Aging offers multiple robust programs through 2 state-of-the-art senior centers, and we have a fantastic director, Janice Tyler, who is a veteran in the field of aging and has been forging new paths forward for decades. The Department on Aging is in 3 different divisions. The first division is the community-based services. As you can see, our nutrition program, we are we are serving 650 meals each week. Our wellness program has 120 clients that visit on a week. We've got 22 classes per week. The education, arts, and special events, like our robust programming, is offered through our centers. We've got 100 weekly programs at our Seymour Center that sees 400 participants a day. And then we have 80 weekly programs at the Passmore Center that sees 250 participants a day. And we have a very diverse community and offer bilingual programming through bilingual staff and volunteers. So we've got a lot going on in the community. Next slide. Another division is Volunteer Connect 55 Plus. We've got 340 active volunteers serving 34,000 hours last year. We also have some federal programs, SHIP and VITA, who we have a very active program. We've done senior health insurance information program counseling for 1,200 participants, saving them over 200,000. And we have done the volunteer income tax assistance. Last year, we completed 1,695 returns. So we're doing a lot. So next slide. Before I talk about the third division, I really want to talk about an ACL grant that we received, the Department on Aging received in 2015, Alzheimer's Disease Initiative Specialized Support Services. We won a 3-year, $900,000 commitment for our OC Cares project. And that's Orange County Caregiver Awareness, Respite Education, and Support. There are 6 components to that project. It was Dementia Education Series, Dementia Friendly Business, a bunch of caregiver supports. All of this multifaceted initiative was to make Orange County a dementia-capable county. Next slide. So 3 years later, the project was wildly successful. We retained 4 staff, and we added a lot of the OC Cares projects to our existing aging transitions services. So we had our aging in place supports, we had the direct services, and then we had transportation. But in 2019, we added on caregiver support and social engagement. Next slide. So this is kind of where we bring in the Respite for All. In 2022, I became the social engagement coordinator. For years before that, I was the volunteer coordinator for Volunteer 55 Plus. Well, in 2022, if you remember, we were just recovering from COVID. So, programs were moving from virtual to hybrid, places were opening up, and we had an opportunity with the social engagement programs to just do a white canvas. Janice Tyler, the department director, said, let's go ahead and revamp everything. Next slide. Next slide, Patrick. So this is where we talk about, okay, how did we bring in this Respite for All model? Janice and I like to say it was the right time and the right program with the right people, because it has been something we've done in our department in the past, and it just didn't stay. And even with the OC Cares grant, we did not keep that respite program. We modified it to a care partner collaborative because we just had these challenges. But here we've got the right time, right? White canvas, COVID, we can start fresh. And we had the right program. Janice and I discovered the Respite for All program in the same week. I had seen a webinar with Daphne in it, and I could not believe how similar her approach to volunteer management was to what we do at Orange County Department on Aging. And so I bought her book immediately. Later that week, Janice calls me into her office and she says, Alison, have you seen this? and she shows me Daphne's webinar. So I was like, wait a minute. I ran to my office, got my book, and showed it to her. I was like, I'm halfway through this book. So that week, Janice and I decided, oh, we have our program. This is perfect. Now, as far as the right people, in addition to me coming to the position with a lot of years of volunteer coordinating experience, and I do use every single thing I've learned managing volunteer programs every single day for our place, for sure. But I also came to the position with some eclectic background. I was a long-term care clinician. I have experience in sales and marketing and fundraising. So I brought a new perspective to the project. But our final right people, I guess you would say, is this champion volunteer that we have that supported this initiative. When I was a volunteer coordinator, my administrative volunteer was wonderful. She helped me keep track of all these programs, and we shared a similar ideology. But she also shares the conviction that Janice has about really wanting a respite program. She cared for her husband who had dementia and felt it was critical to offer that component in the dementia support services. So she offered us a grant. So and to be on the steering committee because she just is a multifaceted support for this effort. So here we have the right time post-COVID. We have the right program, RFA. We have people ready to do it, but also this situation, because my salary is paid from the Department on Aging, and because our lunches are covered by the DAS Congregate Meal Plan program, those are the two biggest expenses in a Respite for All program. We didn't have those, and here I had a seed grant from Daphne and a seed grant from my private donor. So I had enough funds to support building an infrastructure without making an impact on our departmental budget. So we got to start right away. So let's talk about the evolution of our place. Like I said, I got Daphne's book. And then the very next thing I did was order the Respite for All roadmap, which is a wealth of information. I just went through everything with a fine-tooth comb in plenty of time to attend the annual conference. Attending that annual conference is when I knew I was in a life-changing position in my life. Because when I went there, these directors took me under their wings, and they were so generous with, I can show you where I get my supplies. I can show you how I manage volunteers. I can tell you how we do sign up. Oh, would you like to see a copy of my budget? Every director was unbelievably generous with anything I might need to be successful. And back then, I am very lucky. Daphne had just retired from being a director and the foundation president and went full time to do the foundation to help grow the program, the model, which she has. But I got to work with Daphne because she hadn't hired her onboarding staff yet. So I feel pretty special about that. So I come back, I've got all this fodder to all these ingredients to launch this program. And I spend a couple months doing community outreach. And we're going to talk a little bit about that when I talk about adapting the model. So I won't go into it here, but we spent months doing a variety of different memory cafes, but we ended that process with the volunteer orientation training from Daphne. This is something that everybody should experience. Daphne said it's a 3-hour training. It's so much more than that. Daphne has this unequaled talent of giving Kool-Aid and having people get so bought into the movement and how this is so much bigger than we are and what we're going to be doing. it kind of electrifies the crowd. So that's a key component to what makes it successful. That's the evolution. It took about a year. We decided to just go 1 day a week, which is Wednesdays, and we do 10 to 4, which Daphne mentioned is the magic hours. And that's because most volunteers are seniors and might be taking their grandkids to preschool. It's a time of the day where you can optimize the number of volunteers that you can recruit. So, next slide.
Hey, Al.
Yeah,
For 1 second, you just said 10 to 4, but I think you meant to say 10 to 2, right?
I meant to say 10 to 2.
I don't want to make them just be tired listening to you 10 to 4. Okay, keep going.
No, thank you.
You're good.
And the never mind. I can't see what anybody's saying to me because the we're scripting here. So anyhow, to get back on track. So to adapt the Respite for All model for use in a public and civic community-based environment, there's some minimal adaptations and some bigger ones. I would say minimal is, getting buy-in from leadership. Now that's going to be true in government and clergy. But when it comes to the Department on Aging, social engagement programs are part of aging transitions, which is part of the Orange Department on Aging. So we're all doing a lot of really amazing, impactful work. And every division wants a piece of the pie, an equal piece of the pie. So it's really important that even though I have the absolute blessing of my director, because it was actually a directive provided to me, I have to make sure that everybody wants to be part of this beautiful project and understand the importance of it, and not just try and get all of the resources dedicated towards our program. That's very important in this kind of environment. The other is the daily programming needs a slight adjustment. Obviously, we're going to stay true to the model, but we're going to do secular crafts, and we're going to listen to pop music versus hymns, and we don't offer a monthly service. But most importantly, when I'm doing my programming, as everybody else, I'm very focused on friend engagement. We call people living with dementia friends. And the whole point is having them come be engaged in this 4 hours, just make a difference in their life. But I also have to be very conscientious of volunteer interest and care partner test, passing the care partner test. Because we are not a ministry and this isn't presented as like community service and there isn't a pastor cheerleading it, which this becomes a ministry, but in the beginning, this is community building. So I have to make sure that it's attractive to everybody. And I think everybody does that to some extent, but I just wanted to note that it's particularly important in the secular environment. Now, no, I need to go back, Patrick. The bigger adaptations is volunteers, the volunteer retainment, recruitment, and training. So in our environment, especially here in Chapel Hill and Seymour Center, our volunteers are retired occupational therapists, pharmacists, professors, doctors, and they come here, and when they first start, they're not necessarily thinking ministry, community service. They're thinking, what am I going to do in my retirement that is exciting and rewarding to me? And they come with amazing experience and really good ideas. And sometimes they think they want to shift things. Why do you do it this way? Maybe we should do it this way. This would be a good thing to do. And these are all very welcomed and appreciated, but staying true to the model is really important. And when you have these high-level volunteers who have the option of picking from multiple quality volunteer opportunities, so I'm kind of in competition to make them want to come to my program. It's important that I help guide them to really understand the model and how important it is to stay true to the model, and how important it is to be a team and volunteer as a team. One of the things that have helped me immensely is doing the True Colors practice with them. It's like a personality test. It really has helped them understand that we can all be different. We can come from different backgrounds, um, have different ways of doing things. But when we all do it together, it's better. Doing things with all the different perspectives actually creates a better product than just doing it your way. That training has helped me immensely. Another significant difference is space allocation and competition of priorities. So I'll give a little story about this that will help explain this. I'm sorry, Patrick, I'm really taking a long time on that slide, but it's the bulk of what I'm trying to say. When we run our place at Seymour Center, one of the senior centers, we're in Great Hall 2, which is a very popular location. And we run from 10 to 2. Well, from 9 to 9:30, there's a weight training class. So we have 30 minutes before 10 to create our place. And then we end at 2, but at 2:30, there's pickleball. So we have to clear our place to be another pickleball court. That means the night before, I have to do a lot of preset in that area. Now, let me tell you what this all involved. 4 hours in Great Hall required us relocating 5 programs. Um, that means they had to change their day or their time. And it also required me getting approval from 3 programs the night before because I need to pull out all my chairs, my whiteboard, my coffee cart, and put them all in the peripheral so that they have to approve of it so they can still run their programs because there's no way I could set our place in that 30-minute time frame. And that really makes me rely heavily on my volunteers. I can't have 1 or 2 volunteers that really love setup. I need 10 volunteers that can come and set 5 tables and create the room for the entire day's programming. So, and I can't, hang art and own the place. I have to share that space. So that is something to consider. The other is the competing priorities for somebody in a position like mine. I do have 2 other programs that I run. I have to do dementia-friendly business trainings, which I love and are valuable, and memory cafes. But also being part of transitions division and the department, when there's an all hands on deck call, that includes my hands. So very often I'm having to go in and help with my division or my department. And so those are the things that are manageable, but are different and require, negotiation and strategic thinking. Next slide, Patrick. So the growth of our program, we started our place at 10 participants and 15 volunteers. By the end of the first year, we had expanded twice. We served 16 participants and 32 volunteers, which is capacity for us. We started at 3 tables and now we're at 5. Next slide. So testimonials from a volunteer. The smiles and happiness that each friend has as they enter each Wednesday morning makes each week worth it 1,000,000 times over. This is such special work. I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of our place. That's where the volunteer gets to once they're in the program. From a care partner, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate the mood boost for my mom she gets every week at our place. What a difference it makes in everything for all of us. We hear this all the time. They cannot believe the difference their loved one, the difference it makes in how they are acting at home, how they act there. It changes everything. People feel like they're getting their loved one back. And a participant, I look forward to Wednesdays all week. Everyone is really nice. We all have so much fun together. I'm so happy to be part of this group. I invite everybody to not just Google the RFA documentary that Daphne was talking about, but Google RFA videos and look at the independent videos that some of the other RFA programs have created, because you will see this over and over again. It is This is literally what happens. It will raise you up. Next slide. Now, spreading the word. This is where I feel like area agencies on aging are positioned so well to spread the word because of what we have access to. So the first year we were in this program, I presented to a county-to-county connection meeting and a local radio station. The next year, that turned into a state conference, and then a state consortium meeting, and then a national summit. And then this year, I've presented to a regional council area agency on aging. We're doing this webinar right now. And next month, Daphne and I are going to be doing a podcast for Eden Alternative. So this is getting the word out. Next slide. And why it's important to get the word out is because it feeds incubation. So I have hosted 15 faith-based organizations to attend a full day at our place. And these were not recruited. These were people who reached out to me. They reached out because they heard about us. 4 have already resulted in the launch of a new RFA program, and many more are in the works. I have also just received a grant award, an I'm Still Here Foundation grant award, because they want me to replicate this secular version. So, and they want me to document how it's replicated so that it can enhance what RFA is already offering. Next slide, please. I am so glad this slide got in here. When I say that we've hosted 15 faith-based organizations, some people, especially that live in North Carolina, might think, oh, you mean the triangle or the triad. Absolutely not. I mean 10 different counties across the state. From one side of the state to the other, 10 different counties have sent organizations to Chapel Hill to come visit the Seymour Center for 4 hours on a Wednesday so that they could learn more about this model. Next slide, please. And what that leads to is community partnerships. When people hear and see what's going on with the Respite for All model, they want to celebrate it. They want to collaborate. They want to research it. There's all this interest, and it just compounds our efforts. The first year that I launched, of course, we had interns at the Orange County Department all the time, so they typically intern at our place. Nathan was an intern that launched a Dementia Friends at Carolina Club. Since then, the next year, Ellie ran it. Well, Ellie expanded membership, then got a McDonald's Community Fellowship grant award to enhance our memory cafe program. And then she did her honors research on understanding the RFA model, which is currently in the works of getting published. And Daphne and I are still mulling through all the wonderful resources that it provided. I'm going to be meeting this year's president to that club next week at lunch. So it's sticking, it's sustainable. Just last week, we had Encore Creativity offer a Melody Makers pilot project to our place, and it was funded through the North Carolina AARP, North Carolina Dementia Alliance, and then the Department on Aging all pulled their money to fund this pilot. Earlier this year, Voices, the Chapel Hill Chorus, selected our place, reached out to our place to be their community partner so we could table at their spring concert and then get the word out to all of the people that attend that wonderful program, and then donated 20% of the revenue from the tickets to our place. So next slide, please. To wrap up my presentation, I would like to read a comment from the first email that I ever received from Daphne. So this is back in 2022, and I had just reached out to her, really excited. And in there, she says to me, "You have the perfect background, resources, and superpowers to help lead this model in North Carolina. And even though we haven't met yet, I have big plans for you. If you get this one program up and running successfully, you will be the example for the state that others will learn from. Well, can you imagine how encouraged and inspired I felt? And Daphne, I believe your prediction has become a reality. So, you know, what's next? We have made an impact in 10 North Carolina counties. There are 100 counties in North Carolina. So, to quote the master, we are just beginning.
Gonna make a girl cry.
Yeah.
Stop that.
Well, any questions?
We have some questions that have come in, so we will definitely get to those. As we start the questions off, please feel free to add more questions to the Q&A pod, and we will get to as many as we can. We want to start with some terminology that both of you used. We had a question about two things. One was, Daphne, can you talk a little bit more about what a vision call is?
A vision call is when you've got, say, a fired up caregiver, a fired up employee like Alison, a clergy member from a local church, somebody from the senior center that wants to hear more about the Respite for All process. And so we schedule about 30 minutes to go through our slide deck, almost just like you guys saw, like 30 minutes, and then answer some initial questions, and then let you know the resources that would be available in the next step in the process. So it's just the beginning. There's no commitment, but it's just a really quick overview of the resources and really just the key components that it takes to launch one of these programs. So your vision team, not just one person, but your team can zoom in. It's been very helpful.
So before we go to the next terminology question, you hit on one of the other questions, Daphne and Alison, you can pipe in on this too. But a few people are asking, what are those first steps? So you're interested in moving this program into, a community-based setting. Is the first step getting a license, attending and training? Do you have like a list of steps that people would take?
We do have a list of steps. There's so many, I can't rattle them off right now, but it's a checklist of things such as, let's say you're in Louisiana. We would give you references to check where there might be state regulations for social model respite. We have spent a year helping our friends in California because they've got more regulations than anybody. The state of Alabama, there's no state regs because there's no resources, right? So we coach you through looking for that, maybe trying to idealize where your space is going to be. Is it in a church? Is it in the senior center? Can you get it for free? Because getting it for free really is a piece of the puzzle, right? And who is the host organization that you want to partner with that can really provide that umbrella of insurance and leadership, just like Orange County was for Alison and her boss. We're getting you to those three big things we want you to think about before we even get into the small details.
And I would really highly recommend the purchasing the roadmap, because reading the book got me pumped, but going through the roadmap gave me the big picture view so that I could start seeing where I would fit in or where we could make it work for us.
So the roadmap she's talking about, the Arthur N. Root Foundation gave us a big grant about 4 or 5 years ago to do a video series because I knew everybody couldn't get to Montgomery. So it's about 7 or 8 modules, 20 to 40 minutes. So you can watch them at home, you can watch them in a group on a lunch break. But one is the business of respite, the finances it takes, what to look for in a director, where to recruit and retain volunteers. And just like Alison said, you're taking these best practices, I mean, it's very in-depth, and breaking them up with your vision team so you can kind of check off who can have those assignments. And your food source, you've got to have a lunch food source to make this work. So we're just coaching you those big 3 or 4 top ticket items. But the videos are available and you can email us. They're $650. We made them really
bargain.
cheap. In a big manual.
Sorry, which did you say is?
I said it's a bargain.
The Respite for All roadmap is
The
available
roadmap.
online, but you would
Okay.
email us and we'll send you the link to how to get that.
Great, thank you. So Patrick, as we're going through some of these questions, can you just put up that contact information? So Alison, can you talk a little bit more about this care partner test that you mentioned?
Okay, so since okay, since we set up, we're like a traveling circus. We set up, then we close up, and then somebody else gets our space. A lot of what happens in the ministries are they have this wonderful environment. It's like an eclectic coffee shop of all this beautiful community art, and there's ownership, and it makes them feel at home. Well, um, we don't have that opportunity. So I can't be sending artwork home every week like somebody's in preschool. It's not going to go on their refrigerator. So there's a little bit of that I have to think about. If I'm going to do a craft, it has to have a purpose. Either we're going to sell it at a holiday market. In fact, we spent 6 weeks creating a bunch of items to sell at our holiday market last year. We raised $1,500 to donate to a low income project that is working on a respite program. They loved it. They loved writing the check and presenting it to this program and feeling really good about it. And we had men who normally are like, I don't do crafts, right in there making it like it was Santa's workshop. So things like that, or we do kindness cards that we're going to send and give to people who are living in assisted living. We've made little cat toys to donate to animal services for cats that get adopted. Those are the buy-in that care partners say, okay, it's not bingo, it's not this. They're always kind of looking to make sure that I'm treating their loved one as the ex-CEO or the retired doctor
The
that they
football
are.
coach or
Yes.
the homemaker that's raised 4 children, they want things with purpose. And
Yes.
when you can hear Allison and you can hear 60 other directors share these ideas, and you don't have to go dig them out of a bucket of a million Pinterest things, but you're
Mhm.
hearing experienced directors share those. We don't want you to recreate the wheel.
Yeah, I think I have a little scenario, we've got time, that will explain that even better, Sari. If you watch the Belonging documentary, there's a little piece in there when one of the care partners says, when I saw my husband playing chair volleyball with that noodle, I was, ugh. And then she goes, until I did it myself. So, like,
Mhm.
that's what I mean by the test. These care
Yeah,
partners are looking in.
totally. Um, Two really good questions have come in. One is, so you talked about how there is payment for some of the respite programs that have been set up, but does the model have a way to address those who are in the highest need communities, to have them come in and be a participant in the program, maybe with a sliding scale? Are there different ways to create a more inclusive, environment for Respite for All? Can you talk a little bit about how you can
Sure.
get people in?
So that's maybe I didn't go into it deep enough, but we all are tuition based. We strongly encourage tuition based because oftentimes it's really hard to start a program and have it sustain for 5 to 10 years when you have no revenue coming in. So many times people want to help pay, but they don't know how. So we start with that structure. But again, a third, if we average 20 to 25 participants a day here in Montgomery, roughly 8 to 10 of those participants are attending for free.
Mm-hmm.
There's no sliding scale in our
Mhm.
program. Hear me when I say there's no sliding scale, because when Susan comes in and says, my mother cannot afford $40 a day, we are trained as directors to say, that's okay. We've got a spot for her on Tuesday. We're not diving in financial records. We're not diving into anything. If that family says they cannot pay, they can attend, and our directors are trained to say, we have resources coming.
Mhm.
And
I'd
so,
like to add to that, Sari, in
Sure.
that because we had the resources, we did a suggested donation of $25 a day. And we got that donation from about 60% of the folks. However, I'm finding that I want to transition to a for-fee service because I'm realizing there has to be a value to the program. Um, sometimes if you're not paying for something, then and you wake up on Wednesday and it's raining, this does not happen often, and you decide, I don't want to go today. If it didn't cost you anything, then that's there's less pushing you to go. And the more students we have, the more younger folks we have come in, they don't qualify for the DAS program. So I am paying for a good 11 lunches. So I am starting to really need those funds. And of course, because it's the RFA model, anybody who could not afford it won't have to pay.
Sure. Great, that's helpful. Thank you. Do you do any advertising or marketing of the program through various means, whether it's putting up flyers, talking to others in the community, maybe going out through the Dementia Friendly Business Network to try and pull people in?
We do, especially at the beginning. We're coaching these directors. They've got to be an entrepreneur. You can't just sign on to facilitate a dementia program. You've got to be able to get out and go do a short slide deck of 10 slides to Rotary. You've got to go talk to Kiwanis. You've got to go talk to the Civitan Club. You got to go talk to the law firm down the street that wants to help Alzheimer's, right? And therefore, you've got to be able to delegate some of your programming and some of your activities to your crazy good volunteers. Alison is the best delegator juggler, and she's learning more and more. But we give these directors a community marketing plan at the beginning, and we highly encourage doing it one large community event before you launch your program. For instance, in Montgomery, we invited the head of UAB neurology to come on a Thursday night at 7 o'clock, marketed it for 2 months. I thought 50 to 70 people would show. 400 people came. 400 people at 7 o'clock on a Thursday night because it was entitled Advances in Alzheimer's. It spoke to everybody in the community that needed to hear that, and what a wonderful place to launch your ministry or your program. You have to do that community event so you know you're out there, you're in the water of the community, right? You cannot just be a bystander and expect people to come in the door. So we are coaching all the time how to get out there at the beginning.
Great. I want to make sure we get to this question. Can you talk a little bit about what the volunteer training looks like? How long is it? What does it involve? What are you teaching the volunteers?
So Alison can add on anything that she's added as well, but the basic 3-hour training that we have, it's really relationship training, how not to other. Alison's got the best quote in our documentary. There's no othering in the Respite for All model. So why is it important for Larry and Bill to do the same activities that all of our participants do? We're really learning how to be just 50-50 volunteers, like everybody's on the same playing field, right? We use Teepa Snow's Brain Changes. We use Going with the Flow from Karen Stobie, 15 minutes. We have 5 and 10 and 15-minute training videos so older volunteers can absorb better. I have found that hour-long videos are very hard to absorb. And so we have a lot of, we have physical interaction throughout the 3 hours to keep those volunteers engaged, just going through our activities and showing them that something as simple as balloon volleyball or tunnel of love or the things that we do, it's not about the stupid noodle in the balloon. It's about the connection to Larry. And so everything has got purpose, and we've got to treat it with great importance because that's really the only communication Larry's going to get through the day, right? And so it's really relationship building, I think. We do have some Teepa Snow that really goes over the brain science of dementia. And we also have Montessori dementia communication. We spend about 20 minutes on that.
Great. Alison, anything you want to add?
Well, I do make everybody a dementia friend because I'm a dementia friend champion. So the folks that come in will get that training. They get Daphne's training because we hired a videographer to actually video the training when she was there. So all of my volunteers know who Daphne is. Um, it is socio relationship. It's socio emotional that other people can read and learn about neuroanatomy and the latest research. What they don't learn is how important it is to be authentic, how important it is to be a group. It's like some of my volunteers, I'll have 2 to 1, maybe, at a couple tables, they're like, do you really need me today? I'm like, do you understand what a gift this is?
Right.
Because if somebody needs to take somebody to the restroom, then you aren't left high and dry. And they've embraced it. They really get that the best thing they could do is come be themselves. If they're not overly gushy, don't be overly gushy, because people living with dementia have a very high radar for like fake, inauthentic. And everybody just shows up as themselves and develops these authentic relationships. And people living with dementia don't get that. They crave it, they miss it, and it really creates a sense of belonging.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
I want to thank you both. We've reached the end of our hour together. Thank you, Daphne and Alison, for fabulous presentations and a wealth of information shared with our participants. And thank you to everyone who joined us today. We hope you will join us again on September 9th at 1 p.m. Eastern when we talk about Grant to Growth, which will be focused on building sustainable dementia services, supports, and trainings. You should have received the registration information about this webinar on September 9th. If not, you can contact us at NADRC-webinars@rti.org. The email address is on your screen, and we hope to see you there. Until then, I hope all of you get out there and do some good work. And thank you again, Alison and Daphne, for your time and wonderful presentations. We will talk again soon. Take care,
Thank you.
everyone.
Look us up on the website.